Hi everyone, this is video number 2, and please follow along with the hand-arm position handout if you like. So we've put our head joint together into the flute body and starting to play the entire instrument now after experimenting with the head joint. We're going to talk about setup. Our 4 points of balance on the flute. The first point of balance is on the chin, a little bit of weight and or pressure on the chin. The next point of balance is the left hand, the base of the left hand pointer finger, and that is placed underneath the body between the second key, or the C, what we call the C touch piece, and the right hand thumb underneath the tube, and the pinky in the right hand holding some weight. Those are our 4 points of balance when holding the instrument. The hand position, with regard to the left hand and the right hand, I like to think of the shape of the hand beginning in a C-shaped position. The left hand then gets tilted on its side with a slight bend of the wrist, and the palm open down the flute. So our C-shaped position, tilted on its side, the flute sets at the base of the pointer finger, the palm is open down the flute with a slight bend of the wrist. Very tricky hand position for the left hand. The right hand also, make a C-shaped position. This one's much easier. Just place the thumb underneath the body of the flute between the 4th and 5th fingers of the right hand. I think one of the most important things that you can do in beginning lessons with your flutists, and certainly any time that you advise them, is that you are highly organized and consistent with your method. And I think one of the things we could be very consistent about is how we're going to describe the fingers as they position themselves on the keys and how they are labeled when producing certain notes. So I have a couple of examples here. L 1 2 3 and R 4 5 6. This is derived from the Rubank fingering chart. So left hand, 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger. Right hand, 4th finger, 5th finger, 6th finger. You'll notice though that the pinkies and the thumb does not have any designation, so you could move to the next combination of numbers there. Left hand, 1 2 3 4. You could do the same for the right hand. Right hand, 1 2 3 4. And that still leaves the thumb with no designation, but you could call it the thumb. You can also label your fingers by left hand pointer finger, left hand middle ring finger, pinky, thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky. But possibly you want to develop some kind of a numbering system to make it a little easier. By the way, just because it's a thing, I'm all about terminology, and so these are keys on the instrument. They are not buttons. They're not pushy things. Let's definitely label the parts of the flute and any other instrument that you're learning, because your students will definitely take that terminology with them, and we want it to be accurate. No protruding thumbs. The right hand thumb is a bit, once it's placed under the body of the flute, sometimes it will slide itself forward and therefore kind of collapsing the whole right hand on the mechanism. And so we want to try to keep that thumb underneath the body of the flute as much as we can. And that can also be achieved by thinking about what I call opposing forces. The left hand, I feel like it comes into the body with the left hand, and the right hand pushes the flute away from the body. So you have this kind of center of access with a little bit of that opposing forces approach. Certainly it's not anything that you muscle, that you work really hard, but it's just giving you a good sense of how to balance the instrument dynamically that way. The majority of the flute's weight is evenly balanced from the chin to the base, to the thumb, and to the pinky, and really trying to hold the flute in such a way that all of the fingers that touch keys, that press the keys down, move freely without holding any weight of the instrument. The weight of the instrument is balanced toward the back of the flute, so it has a tendency to want to roll back on us. So that might mean that we need to counterbalance it by pushing the flute away or rolling the flute, that kind of a sensation, and just making sure that it stays steady on the chin. When putting the fingers on the keys, I generally tell my students to play on the fleshy or the pads of the fingers, and that generally keeps the fingers a little bit more flat and gently curved. They should definitely not be so high up that the flesh or the tips of the fingers go into the open tone holes if your students are advanced for playing with open tone holes, but rather should be more rounded and covering a bit more of the entire key, not just that middle part of the key. Hovering over the keys at all times, and that includes the left hand pinky. The left hand pinky doesn't play very much, so it's in its relaxed position. It feels pretty good to hang it down below the A flat key, which is this big key here protruding out. And we, though, want to try to keep it elevated, and it can stay there, just sort of lightly touching the A flat key. So really moving with finite muscle and hovering over the keys to achieve that. Never squeeze the keys to produce a note, and generally if you see lots of whites on the fingertips and you see a lot of down motion going on, it means that the students are struggling possibly with the mechanism, the pads aren't sealing correctly, and they're just really squeezing the flute a lot. We also want to avoid the opposite motion, which is the up-up motion, where we constantly see fingers flying off the keys. And so both of those motions, slapping of the keys too heavy down or too much up-up in their technique, can just mean for less efficient finger technique. So constantly hovering and having the fingers in their ready position at all times. Let the elbows fall to the sides of the body, whether you're sitting or standing. They just sort of gently fall. And we definitely want to make sure that we're not squeezing the elbows into the body or into the rib cage. We want to just let them sort of gently hang as we go. Shoulders relaxed, neck is long. Bring the flute to you. Don't go fishing for the flute. We want to stand in our most aligned position and let the instrument come to you. And as Amy Porter says, the flutist from the University of Michigan professor, no chasing the flute, okay? Yeah, don't go looking for it. It's all right there. So take a look at the different drawings there with the 4 points of balance, the right hand, left hand positions, starting to get comfortable with how to balance the flute. Thank you.